The member for Solomon.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. My question's to the Prime Minister. The Northern Territory Working Women's Centre helps women with workplace issues, including sexual harassment. The Respect at Work report recommended an increase in funding for centres like these, but instead the NT Working Women's Centre has been defunded. Why?
The Prime Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for his question. As I indicated in response to a question from the member for Warringah, the government will be making our response to the Respect at Work set of recommendations of the Sex Discrimination Commissioner before the budget, Mr Speaker. That has been personally taken up by me as Prime Minister, working with the Acting Attorney-General as well as the Assistant Minister to the Attorney-General, and that will be addressing the many recommendations that are set out in that report, including the ones that the one that you have referred to in your question. At the same time, the government, as the minister representing the Minister for Women has responded in this House, the government is working with the states and territories because in many cases the sorts of services that you are referring to are joint funded with state and territory governments, Mr Speaker, and that's why it's so important that as we go to the next National Action Plan, that these funding arrangements are put together and work together, as they have been now for many years, under the process started, rightly, by Prime Minister Gillard, supported by the coalition while in opposition, and taken forward while in government, which has included $1 billion in additional funding for the National Action Plan program, Mr Speaker, for the National Action Plan program. And, Mr Speaker, so the very services that you're referring to we do believe are important, and I'm sure that this will be able to be addressed in the program that we're now engaged in. It is true that many programs that are funded across the Commonwealth have programs funding that go for a set period of time, and then ongoing funding is determined as it approaches the conclusion of that funding period. That was indeed the case for many of the programs that were run by Labor when in government. One that I remember very well was universal access for early childhood education, Mr Speaker, or the National Partnership Agreement on Homelessness, Mr Speaker. And these were agreements that in government, particularly in relation to the Homelessness Agreement, we have made permanent funding arrangements. So it's an important area of funding. I'll be addressing the many matters in the Respect at Work report within the weeks ahead, Mr Speaker, and I look forward to being able to update members on that when we next